Hi everyone, my name is Ryan Caviston and I'm an account strategist here at Pepperjam. Today I'll be taking you through a deep dive and walkthrough through the Ascend Advertiser interface platform. Upon login, the page will load on the dashboard. The dashboard contains several bits of important information needed to gauge the performance of your program. First, you'll notice the Actions Needed box. The Action Needed box will contain information on any pending publisher applications, transaction or product feed errors, or unresolved transaction inquiries. It's important to regularly review these inquiries and notices. As you scroll through the Actions Needed box, you'll also find important information, in this case regarding Protect, upcoming publisher placement opportunities, and a link to sign up for today's demo. Likewise, you can also submit to have your promotions listed on the publisher homepage under the Actions Needed box as well. Moving across the page, you'll see Key Performance Indicating trackers. Key performance indicators are a great way to monitor and gauge the performance of your program throughout the monthly reporting period. It's important to configure KPIs because you'll see that they track in real time right here upon login in your dashboard. It's a great way to quickly gauge the performance and how your program is measuring up against your goals. We'll talk about how to configure KPI goals in just a few minutes. Next is the Program Status box. The Program Status box outlines important figures regarding the financials of your program, particularly around commission and sales. First is pending commission. Pending commission are those commissions that are currently within your locking period. This is commission that can be adjusted based on changes to the order, such as a return or a refund. Next is locked commission. Locked commission indicates that the order has ended the locking period and this commission cannot be changed. Locked commission will be paid out to publishers on the next billing cycle. Then we have delayed commission. Delayed commission indicates that an advertiser has not settled an invoice and therefore commission cannot be paid out. Once an outstanding invoice has been settled, delayed commission will be moved to locked and paid out. This is typically only associated with advertisers that settle their bills by invoice rather than the auto escrow system. Then we have paid commission. Paid commission is how much commission has been paid out to publishers so far this month. Finally, total sales or total leads from the program. The program status box includes a drop-down to show this month or the previous month statuses. Next is the overall performance chart. The overall performance chart can be configured to show revenue, conversion rate, return on ad spend, transaction count, spend, or traffic during the monthly reporting period. Likewise, it can also be configured, just as the program status dropdown, to show the previous month. There's also an option to compare year over year or period over period. Just below, we have the top 10 performers. Recall that this is the top 10 performers box. This is not going to necessarily show the same revenue figure here as we discussed up here in the program status. If you only have 10 performing publishers or less, then the numbers will match. So it's important, if you have more than 10 active publishers driving revenue for your program, it's important to note that these numbers may differ. You can use the drop-down here again to filter by revenue, conversion rate, return on ad spend, transaction count, spend, or traffic. And just as the overall performance chart, you can compare this month or the previous month. Lastly, we have the financial summary box. Should you be on auto escrow payment funds and wish to make a manual deposit to maintain your auto escrow balance, you can do so by clicking the green Add Funds button. Next, I'd like to talk about some of the important fields highlighted under the Account dropdown in the top right corner of the dashboard. First is the Profile page. The profile page contains important information regarding your contact information, primary website URL, company name, your website description, and if you're using any batch files, those will also be contained under the profile page. Should you ever need to change the email associated with your account or the company name or primary website URL, you can reach out to your support team. Next is the Manage Sub-Users option. Sub-users are a great way to give team members access to your account while also ensuring they have the privileges appropriate to their duties and responsibilities. To add a sub-user, click the green Add Sub-User button. Enter in the user's email address, first and last name, and select a password for them. Then, pick which communication preferences should be given to this user. Should they receive batch notifications, transaction inquiry emails, billing, or integration emails? Finally, you'll need to select roles. Billing, reporting, read-write access is also available for the account, creatives, and publishers. Once you've selected communication preferences and roles for your user, click Submit. Next is Add Funds. Currently there are no payment profiles associated with this demo account, so let's talk about how to set one up. To add a payment profile, enter the user's name, address, city, country, state, zip code, and phone number associated with the credit card. Then enter the credit card number, the expiration date. If you're adding a secondary card to an existing account already present, you can have the option to update the new card to make it the primary payment method. It's not a bad idea to have 2 credit cards on file in your account, should you be using auto escrow. When the auto escrow system runs daily, if a charge cannot be made to the default card on file, the system will attempt to charge with the secondary card instead. Next, I'd like to review some invoices. Under the Account tab, click Invoices to load all of your current invoices available within the dashboard. Invoices are generated on the first of the month for the previous month's activity. Going through some of these line items, first we have the Network Commission. The Network Commission is the sum of all transaction fees paid to Pepperjam. Next is Publisher Commission. Publisher Commission is the total sum of all publisher commissions paid out to the publishers within your program during the billing period. If you're paying for any managed services or creative fees, for example, those will be highlighted under Other Services and Fees. Next we have commission adjustments, publisher commission adjustments, and network commission adjustments. These relate to the corrections process. Rather than go back and update settled invoices, Pepperjam accounts for corrections as commission adjustments. For example, if an order was placed in April but corrected in May, rather than edit April's invoice reflective of that corrected order, that will show as an adjustment in May's invoice. Next, we have the billing summary. The billing summary will show you an itemized breakdown of charges that have gone out of your account throughout the reporting period. You can configure this to show today, yesterday, or a date range. You can also use a custom range of your choosing as well. This is particularly helpful, I find, for advertisers using auto escrow to see how commissions have been paid out of the account and the auto escrow balance has been replenished. Next, I'd like to talk about some of the reporting features. In the left sidebar navigation, the Track dropdown contains all of the reporting available within your interface. First, we have the performance report. The performance report, like many of the other reports available, contains tabs within the report to break down information further. First, we have overall performance. The overall performance report can be configured on a date range from the options seen here, or by an exact range which you can set out using the date filters. You can group your data to display in the chart below in day, week, or month segments. Likewise, this can also be compared year over year or period over period. Simply enter in any date range filters or appropriate publisher group or state or publisher ID information and click Apply. Data will show in the chart below, as well as in the line graph above. Next is the Publisher Performance Report. The Publisher Performance Report, while similar to the overall performance report, breaks information down at the publisher level. Again, you can search by individual publisher ID or group or type, and select a date range or custom range. The Publisher Performance Report breaks down performance and contains the ID, publisher, and company name. Impressions. Impressions are the number of times a banner ad was loaded on the consumer's page. It is not an indicator that the consumer even saw the banner ad or interacted with it. It is simply the number of times the image was loaded. Then we have clicks, conversion rate, earnings per click, revenue, transaction count, commission amount, and bonus amount associated with this publisher's performance during the reporting period. I find that this report can be more beneficial to use than the overall performance report because it shows us information at the publisher level. This is a great way to determine how publishers are performing and where you can work with publishers to improve their performance. Next, under Track, we have information on transaction reporting. There are 3 tabs contained within the transaction reporting, each getting a little more granular than the first. The transaction history summary contains information on the publisher and the total sale amount attributed to that affiliate during the reporting period. Next is the transaction history report. The transaction history report is itemized based on the number of items included in the transaction. You'll see on this report that some order IDs are duplicated. In the case of this transaction here, ending in 800. There are 3 line items for this transaction. 1 for this product, 1 for the second product included in the transaction, as well as a final line item that would show the network commission paid to Pepperjam. Also note on this report the sale date and process date. Sale date is when the order took place. Process date is when the transaction was processed by our system. Note that if an order is corrected, the process date will update accordingly. We can see here that this order was placed on April 1st. However, it was updated on April 19th. We can confirm that the order was corrected because the status has changed to updated pending commission and the sale amounts have been reversed. Finally, we have the transaction details report. The transaction details report is similar to transaction history, however, it is not itemized at the item level. You can also make corrections to orders from this report as well. Here we have information on the publisher. Note, as there was in the transaction history report, there's a transaction ID and order ID. The transaction ID is generated by Pepperjam's system. The order ID is the order ID that is generated by the advertiser and is passed back in the tracking pixel. When reconciling orders or making corrections, I always suggest following the order ID, as this number can be referenced both in Pepperjam and in the advertiser's e-commerce system. By clicking the term name associated with a transaction, we can load the order commission rule report. The order commission rule report is a great way for advertisers using dynamic commissioning to see how a dynamic commission term and the corresponding rules have been applied to a transaction. In addition, the transaction details report also contains information on the clickstream. This will show the URL of any publisher present in the clickstream. Finally is the option to correct. Correcting a single order simply requires you to click the correct button. If applicable, change the new to file status or coupon code, and then adjust the quantity and item price amounts. When correcting orders, be sure to change the quantity and the item price to 0. If possible, also be sure to provide a reason. Once you've finished reversing the order, click Save. After transaction reporting, we have information on item level reporting. First is the itemized transaction summary. This gives us a breakdown on all item IDs that have been purchased within the reporting period, the quantity of those items purchased, the sale amount, and the associated commission. There's also the itemized transaction report. The itemized transactions report is an itemized breakdown of the transactions that took place in the reporting period. Here, you can see information on the publisher, the order ID, the link type used, the item ID, the item name. It's important to note that the item name will only populate if an itemized list has been uploaded to the account, and we can tie the item name back to this item ID. In addition, similar to the transaction reporting, we have also have information on the quantity, sale amount, commission, sale date, and status. Next is the Creatives report. There's 2 tabs here. First is the Creative Performance report. The Creative Performance report shows general performance of all creatives used in your program within the reporting period. Here we have information on the creative ID, the creative name, and the creative type. Impressions. Recall from earlier that impressions is simply the number of times that a banner ad has loaded on the customer's computer or device. It does not mean that the customer clicked the banner, nor does it mean that the customer even saw it. Then we have clicks, earnings per click, and click-through rate, and the number of transactions, sales, and commissions associated with that particular creative. We can also see the number of affiliates that are using that creative as well. Next is the Creative Performance by Publisher report. Similar to the Creative Performance report, this report shows us which specific affiliates are using each creative type. Here you'll have the affiliate name, affiliate ID, creative ID and creative type, and then information similar to what we just saw in the Creative Performance report on the name, impressions, clicks, earnings per click, click-through rate, transaction numbers, sales and commissions. Next, I'd like to review the Program Financials reporting. The Program Commission Status report is similar to the program status information seen on the dashboard. Here we can see, based on a reporting period, all the commission statuses associated with the program. Note that this report includes unconfirmed commissions. Most advertisers in a traditional e-commerce retail model will never really have unconfirmed commissions. Unconfirmed commissions are typically indicative of a tracking scenario where a commission takes place following a transaction, but needs to be validated, typically by uploading a batch file. Then we have pending commissions. Recall that pending commission is associated with transactions within the advertiser's locking period. These are the commissions that can be adjusted for examples of a return or refund. Next is locked. Locked means that commission is scheduled for payout on the next billing cycle. Locked commission cannot be changed by the advertiser. Delayed. Again, this is commission that cannot be paid out to the affiliate because an invoice has not been settled. And finally, we would have the total. The next tab is the invoice activity report. The invoice activity report breaks down each transaction and how commission was applied to it. So here we have information on the publisher. Here's our order ID and the link type. Next, let's look at this example here. So you'll see that there was a sale amount of $75.96. The affiliate received $3.80 for their referral. The site commission to Pepperjam was $1.14. And the total commission amount of $4.94 that is associated with this order. If we were looking at an invoice right now and were to click the site commission or affiliate commission number, that would bring us to this report. The next report covers KPI goals. Recall the KPIs track on your dashboard upon login. When KPIs are configured, you can access this KPI goal reporting. Here you'll see the list of available metrics. However, in just a few minutes we'll talk about how to actually set up a KPI goal. Next is the dynamic attribution report. For advertisers using an attribution tool or attribution setting, reporting can be found here. You can filter by attribution feature. So here we can filter transactions by exclusive code, in-cart attribution, preferred publisher, or first click. Suppressed code is listed on the secondary tab. Next, let's talk about how to create a commission term. Under Pay, click Commission Terms. Here you'll see a list of all current active commission terms within your program. Note that if you were to hide a commission term, it would be filtered from view. You would need to click either the Show Hidden or Show All option to display that hidden term. To create a commission term, click the green Create New Term button. To create a new commission term, start off by giving the term a name. I recommend making your term names descriptive. If you have a lot of different commission terms set up, making sure it's descriptive can be really helpful when you go to assign a commission term to an affiliate or change an existing affiliate's current payout. We're going to create a dynamic commission term. So here I'm going to give us a default payout of 4%, and we're going to add a dynamic commission term that would bonus the affiliate 2% if the customer was new. So here we'll give the term name default 4%, new to file 2%. Next, enter the cookie duration. 30 days is generally a standard cookie duration. Next, select the payout type. You have the option to do a sales percentage or a flat amount. Then we'll enter our payout value of 4%. The final step before creating the rule for new to file would be to select the payout level. We always recommend advertisers use the item level option. By setting your payouts at the item level, it greatly increases the quality of your reporting in that it shows how commissions have been applied at the item level rather than at the order level. Now, if we weren't going to apply a dynamic commissioning rule, we would simply click Save Term and this term would be finished. But now to add the rule, we're going to click the gray Add New Rule button. As we did with our term name, I recommend making sure your rule name is something descriptive. I'm going to call it plus 2% NTF for new to file. Again, set this rule at the item level. In the new window that opens, you'll have a list of all of the possible conditions for which dynamic commissioning can be used. Order conditions, based on the publisher conditions, customer conditions, or creative conditions. New to file is considered a customer condition, so we're going to go to the Customer Conditions tab and select New to File. Then click Save. Next, we'll need to select an action type. Actions can be configured to either add percentages or flat amounts, or equal a percentage or flat amount. In this case, we're going to do an add percentage option of 2%. We'll just quickly verify that the term is configured correctly, and then click Save. So now that we've created a commission term, let's talk about how to assign this commission term to an affiliate. We're going to go to the Publishers tab and select Manage Publishers. Note that the Manage Publishers page loads with the status defaulted to joined and the minimum transparency rating defaulted to level 3. Transparency is a measure of the validated information that we have about an affiliate. Typically, new affiliates to the platform are brought in with a transparency of roughly 2 or 3. A higher transparency rating does not always guarantee that an affiliate is inherently a better publisher for the program. It is simply just a measure of the amount of information that we have and have qualified about this publisher. So always keep that in mind when you're recruiting affiliates. Higher transparency, while it's something to consider, should not necessarily be the end-all be-all. When filtering affiliates, it is important, as I would always suggest, to change your minimum transparency rating to all, particularly if you're going to bulk change commission terms. I wouldn't want to see an advertiser inadvertently misassign a commission term or leave certain affiliates out of a new commission term because the minimum transparency rating was not updated. To change a commission term, locate the advertiser or advertisers for which their term will be changed. You can add additional information up here, for example, to show a specific publisher ID or filter by a currently active commission term. Next to the advertiser, select the Terms drop-down. For changing terms in bulk, you'd use the gray Apply Bulk Changes to Selection box. As you can see, when there's many active commission terms within a program, having a descriptive term name is always very important. Then, select the date that the new term will take effect. Note that the earliest option is 7 days from now. Publishers require a minimum of a week's notice for an upcoming term change. Now, consider a situation where you wanted to take place of a last-minute opportunity with a publisher that required you to increase their commission, and you can't wait a week. For that situation, you can choose to allow early acceptance. Checking the Allow Early Acceptance box will give the publisher the opportunity to move into the new term pending their acceptance. If the publisher does not accept your invitation for early acceptance, they'll simply move into the commission term on the scheduled date. Finally, click Schedule Term. Back under the Pay tab, let's talk about attribution settings. Here you can see some of the different attribution settings and tools available to advertisers. Note that some of these tools and settings may require additional tracking parameters be included in your pixel, particularly the coupon parameter. First, we have code suppression. Think of code suppression simply as commission suppression. This is a way to prevent affiliates from being paid out when a code not meant for use in the affiliate channel was applied to a transaction. Code suppression should be used, for example, for a private friends and family sale. Publicly available codes that customers can find on-site should never be suppressed. Next is exclusive code. Exclusive code gives commission to the publisher assigned to the coupon code for all transactions where this code was applied, regardless of their presence in the clickstream. Next is preferred publisher. A program can have one preferred publisher at a time. The publisher with the preferred designation will always receive commission if they are present in the clickstream. Next is first click. First click gives advertisers the ability to reverse the traditional model of last click. In this case, first click gives advertisers the ability to change the attribution model to better incentivize the true introducer of a transaction. Finally, in-cart. If multiple publishers are present in the clickstream, in-cart gives preference to the publisher that a customer visited before the time threshold. In this case, we would set up a time threshold of typically 5 minutes. The platform will look back in the clickstream 5 minutes prior to the transaction taking place and award commission to that publisher. This is a great way to ensure affiliates are given commission and not have a situation arise where the customer visits a coupon site as they're checking out and applies a coupon code to the transaction. Next, I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about recruiting publishers now that we've gone through the process of setting up commission terms and how attribution settings can be applied to your program. You may have recalled from earlier in the demonstration, we talked about pending publisher applications being listed under the Actions Needed box on your dashboard. While that's a perfectly fine way to accept new applications from affiliates into your program, I'd suggest using Discover if you want to get out there and do active recruitment yourself. To access Discover, just click Discover in the black toolbar across the top of your screen. Note that my view of Discover may look slightly different from yours because I'm using a demo account. The first tab in Discover is the Publisher Search tab. Here you'll see all of these different filters available to search for affiliates. We can search by keywords, by customer reach, or the publisher's country of residence, by category, by promotional method. And finally, we can filter to make sure that you don't have a relationship currently with that publisher. I recommend keeping your searches general. Using the keyword field can be a great way to find affiliates that fit what you're looking for. However, if a search is made too generic or too specific for that matter, you might be either unnecessarily filtering out publishers who could have been a great fit for your program, or by keeping your terms a little too general, not being specific enough with your search and being inundated with results that don't fit what you're looking for. If you have some pretty specific search criteria, I'd recommend saving your filters. To do that, simply set up your filters here and click Save. Then, under the Preset option, you can select and reference back those filters for future search references. Once your filters have been configured and you've applied the options, search results will display below. Under the Action box, you'll notice there's a gear. If you click that gear, you'll have options to invite that publisher to your program. If the publisher is not someone who you're interested in partnering with currently, you can also hide them so they don't appear in future search results. Finally, there's also an option to email. Clicking the email option will allow you to send a message to the primary user at this publisher before they're joined to your program. It's a great way to get in touch with publishers during the recruitment process. There's also a Publisher Recommendations tab. The Recommendations tab shows affiliates who are currently trending across the platform. These are not tailored recommendations specific to any one advertiser. Rather, these are affiliates that we at Pepperjam have seen trending on our platform. Back into your dashboard, let's talk about some creatives. I like to go through the process of setting up a new creative. The process is very similar for each creative type, but for today's demonstration purposes, let's create a new text ad. Under Creatives, click Text Links, then click Add Text Link. The anchor text is the text that will be displayed to the customer on the affiliate site. This is where your call to action, information about a sale or promotion, or a product would be listed. Next is the promotion type. You don't have to give any particular creative a specific promotional type. However, it can be helpful for publishers. Within their interface, they'll have the ability to search for creatives tagged to a specific promotion. Next is the URL. The URL is simply where customers are going to be directed to once they click through this creative. Then is the description. The description is not visible to the customer. I'd recommend simply making the description the same as your link anchor text. Next is the deep link status. Deep linking gives publishers the ability to change where on your site customers will be directed to when they click through a link. For example, this would allow the affiliate to change the destination URL of this creative from pepperjam.com to pepperjam.com/categories/shoes. I'd always recommend leaving deep linking enabled. It's a great way for affiliates to drive traffic to the product categories or product types that mean something to them and are most likely to be engaging to their audience. Then we have the visibility, public or private. If this were a coupon code, we would also have the ability to set the visibility to exclusive and assign the single publisher to that exclusive code. Then is the status. There's 3 status types. Active means that as soon as I create this code or this text ad or banner, it would be available for affiliates to pull and post. Inactive would deactivate this creative. If this creative were already present on a publisher's site, it would update automatically to the generic link, which is simply the advertiser's homepage URL. Lastly is the date range. The date range status is a great way to make sure your creatives are set up in time for your promotions and ensure that we're giving publishers proper notice and allowing them the opportunity to get these links pulled and queued up on their site for posting. The start and end date is simply the activation and deactivation date of this creative. If this is tied to a specific promotion, this would essentially be the time frame that the promotion will run. Then we have the View Early status. View Early is what's going to make this creative be available for publishers to pull prior to the promotion starting. I always recommend publishers use the date range and make the creative viewable early, particularly around peak promotional periods like Black Friday and Cyber Week. Here we can set our date range for the promotion to be active and then determine a date and time that publishers can view this creative. To save this creative, we would click the green Save button. If we were uploading several creatives at a time that all had similar criteria, let's say a similar the same destination URL, same visibility, status, and date range, we could click the Copy button. This would allow us to add additional creative fields without having to go back and continually reset and update information that is universal across these creative types. You can also upload creatives in bulk. simply click, in this case, the Upload Text Links button. Here you'll see the required fields as well as optional fields that would allow you to match some of the criteria we just discussed for start date, end date, and view date, for example. Note that if you're going to bulk upload banner files, the banner image must be hosted already. You cannot bulk upload banner files as a JPEG or GIF, for example. Next, let's navigate down to the Settings dropdown. First, we have the Program Settings page. The Program Settings page contains all of the important information about your brand that affiliates will see. Here we'll have our promotional methods, the description of your program and terms and conditions, as well as suggested and restricted keywords, as well as your logos. If you ever need to update this information, feel free to contact your account strategist or the customer care team. Our email is located right at the top of this page. Next is item categories. Setting up an item category is a great way to commission at the category level. You can commission at the category level or at the item level, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Note that to commission at the category level, the category parameter must be included and functioning in your tracking pixel. Then we have KPI goals. This is where we're going to set up and configure the KPI goals for our program. Here, you'll see the list of 9 KPIs, of which you can select up to 3 for monitoring on a month-over-month basis. The reason you can only select 3 is because KPIs are meant to provide snapshots into very particular areas of growth. Most of this information can be found elsewhere in your reporting. However, as we discussed at the start of the demonstration, these KPI goals are going to track in real time right on your dashboard upon login. Once you've selected your 3, select your goal and your calculation option. Calculation options can either be a percentage increase month over month or an actual value. Under KPI goals, as I just mentioned, we have itemized lists. Uploading an itemized product list is a great way to set commissions at the item level. Consider an example where a particular product or small group of products had thin margins and a full commission payout can't be offered. You can upload an itemized list. We simply need a name, the item ID, and the list ID, which would be generated by clicking Add Itemized Product List. Then you would upload a CSV or a text file, which can then be tied to a dynamic commissioning term to increase, decrease, or completely eliminate commission from a set of products. Note that itemized lists and product feeds are different. A product feed cannot be used to set a commission for a given product. Product feeds, on the other hand, are a promotional tool. Think of them as an extension of your creatives. Product feeds are contained right underneath the itemized list option under the settings dropdown. Product feeds are all or part of your product catalog, which are hosted at a location where we can access and make product data available to your affiliates. If you click the feed type, you'll see some of the feed types that we can accept. Next, we have relationship messages. Relationship messages contain the join message and revoke message. The join message is the email that will be pushed out to an affiliate upon acceptance into your program. If you click preview message, we can see an example. We recommend including a logo as well as some information about your brand, as well as some creatives that affiliates can pull simply by clicking Generate Link. This will load their publisher interface and give them the tracking URL or HTML code associated with the specific creative. On the other hand is the revoke message. The revoke message is pushed to an affiliate who has been removed from your program. Typically, you might want to include some information on the revoke message about why the affiliate may have been removed from your program, as well as some contact information if they'd like to follow up for more information. Finally, under Settings, we have Sign-up Form settings. The sign-up form and sign-up URL are a great way to bring affiliates not currently in your program or on the Pepperjam platform into the affiliate channel. If we navigate to the sign-up URL, you'll find an affiliate application. This information is required by Pepperjam to ensure we have all of the relevant information needed to bring this affiliate onto the platform and issue them payouts. Once the affiliate has gone through the review process, they'll be listed as a pending application within your program. Note that this information cannot be edited, as this is a Pepperjam requirement. However, using the sign-up form settings page, you can choose the logo that would display at the top of the form, as well as the introductory and success message. The launch team should have set this up for you when your program was first created. I wouldn't recommend necessarily changing any of this information. Next, I'd like to talk about modifying transactions in bulk. Earlier, you recall, we talked about corrections on the transaction details report, and I showed you how to make a correction to a single order. Should you have a high volume of corrections, making order-level corrections one at a time is probably not the most efficient way. Instead, transactions can be modified in bulk. Under the Transactions tab, click Bulk Modify Transactions. Here you'll have the option to upload a CSV file. If you click the Bulk Upload Documentation link, you'll find the information on the required headers. In addition to uploading a transaction file for correction, you can also send corrections via FTP. Simply host a corrections file at an FTP location if you're choosing, which our system will then access daily and make any corrections that are currently available at that location. You don't need to identify orders as specifically unique to the affiliate channel. If it's easier for your team to simply aggregate all returns, refunds, or corrections made within a period, you can send us all of them. The system will ignore order IDs that are not relevant to the affiliate channel and correct those that are. Note that if an order ID is rejected as not relevant, it will flag a transaction error. Transaction errors can be found under Transactions, Transaction Errors, or under the Actions Needed box. Should you receive a transaction inquiry, those can be accepted or rejected under the Transactions dropdown as well. Transaction inquiries are commonly associated with loyalty publishers. These are those type of affiliates that offer cash back to their users. To review transaction inquiries, again, under Transactions, click Transaction Inquiries, or you can also navigate to this page from the Actions Needed box. I'd suggest reviewing the order ID and ensuring that the order details match what's currently available in your e-commerce platform. You can accept or reject the transaction inquiry then. You'll be prompted to provide some notes as well should you accept or reject the transaction. Next, I'd like to review publisher communication through the newsletter feature. In the black bar across the top of your screen, click the envelope and click Newsletters. To create a newsletter, click the gray Create Newsletter button. The newsletter name is not going to be seen by the publisher. This is simply whatever you'd like to add in for reporting purposes. It's helpful if you include the date that the newsletter was delivered as well, should you send lots of newsletters throughout the year in your promotional calendar. We recommend sending at least 2 newsletters a month. Product updates, seasonal product changes, updated creatives, and upcoming promotions, for example, all warrant a newsletter be sent to your publishers. The subject line is what will be delivered as the subject to affiliates. So make sure that there's something catchy, such as a call to action or something that will entice affiliates to open this to read the content that you've provided them. Then in the body field, it's important to note that this is an HTML editor. If you're sending a newsletter in plain text, simply type in your content right into the body field. However, if you're working with HTML, click the source code brackets here and enter your HTML code. Then click OK. Once you click OK, your content will display here and allow you to easily manipulate your HTML content as if this was Microsoft Word. Consider a situation where you've updated creatives for an upcoming promotion and you want to get that information out to affiliates. You can use the tag types to include new creatives in a newsletter send. I selected the text tags option. This is going to display all currently active text links within your program. Click the text link that you'd like to insert, and if you click Preview in Browser, you'll see that the text link as well as an option to generate the link are now included in the newsletter. Once you're ready to send your newsletter, you can send a preview email to yourself by entering your email address into this box and clicking Send Preview. You can save this newsletter as a draft to come back and edit it later. You can queue it for immediate sending, or you can also schedule for sending at a later date and time. This concludes our demonstration of the Ascend Advertiser interface platform. If you have any additional questions, you can contact your account strategist or the customer care team. Should you be looking for quick support on a specific topic, you can also visit our Knowledge Center. Under Resources, click Knowledge Center. Thank you.